Alright, this is something that I've been wanting to do for a while now, which is talking about my most wanted Bay figures for the DLX line by ThreeZero. ThreeZero's covered a decent amount of Bay characters, and of course they have a lot more planned with the recently announced 5 from the 2007 movie, of course the Autobots. And these options here for the most part have not been hurt by that. There's only one that is going to happen anyway, but I'll talk about why I'm excited for that one, I suppose. And these are not going to be in a specific order, but I will save the one that I would be most excited to see for last. So starting off, I would love to see Starscream in the DLX line. I love this design. It's super cool. And I have the premium scale 3A, before 3A and ThreeZero merged figure, and that one's cool. It is a little, I would say, outdated at this point, even though the details and paint and stuff are still fantastic. But I would love to see this design done at the DLX scale, because even then, he'd still have to be pretty big because of how wide he is. I would probably prefer a 2007 version. I have found myself in recent years preferring the cleaner look over the tattooed look, but I would take either one and I would gladly buy both. And hey, there's your repaint potential. I just think it would look great. Of course, it would help kind of complete some displays, stuff like the forest battle. He's one I'd be very excited to see. Then next up is Blackout, because of course that design is iconic, and I feel like it would just be super cool to have a very movie accurate version of that design in toy form. Just for me, with that design, it'd be cool to take it just that one step further in terms of accuracy, paint details, and whatnot that ThreeZero is so excellent at. Then next up is Ratchet, and of course we are getting him. He's the one I mentioned earlier. So Ratchet, I've always thought had a really interesting design, and as mentioned in that reveal video, I do feel like that a lot of the transforming toys have not been able to really nail it. It makes me happy to know that one of my figures from this list is getting done. And of course I will have a more movie accurate Ratchet, because that's one that definitely needs a non-transforming figure to really capture it, I feel, especially with stuff like the back, just because it seems like a backpack is fairly unavoidable, and even then, if the backpack can kind of be avoided, it seems like Kibble's got to go somewhere else, so who freaking knows. And next up is 07 Megatron. Now this one I feel seems pretty likely, considering the fact that the DLX Jazz that is coming out is going to be able to split apart, and why else would he split apart if you can't have a Megatron hold him? So I feel like he's going to happen. I have been slowly but surely working on a custom version of it, and maybe I should really get on that so it's done before this potential official one comes out. But I've always thought that if they ever did an 07 Megatron, I would still get it regardless, because that's a design that I feel like could really use it, and it'd be cool just to have an accurate version, especially since that is Megatron at his best in the live action films. And I feel like they could make that design really work, especially with some of the oddities and like proportions and like his arms and fingers and stuff. I just feel like they could just do such a good job with that toy. So I would love to see 07 Megatron. And then there is Galvatron from Age of Extinction. Now of course we've had great transforming toys of him. Overall, just having a more movie accurate figure of that design, especially in terms of details, and especially if they'd be able to make the hole in the chest see-through. I'm not sure how hard that would be with like the die-cast skeleton and stuff, but they could make that work. That would be so freaking cool. And that's another design that I feel like is made for having a non-transforming toy, just because of the fact of like hiding all the truck parts. Now you don't have to worry about that. I just feel like that design is pretty neat, and it'd be cool just to see a lot of the details rendered so well, and of course the paint and whatnot. And I'm sure he could have some cool light up features, especially with that hole in the chest. So yeah, Galvatron, I'd love to see it. Then there is Soundwave, but it's not the one that you think. I'd love to see Revenge of the Fallen Soundwave. Give us a movie accurate satellite Soundwave. I think that would be so freaking cool. I would not mind a Dark of the Moon Soundwave, but again, kind of like I keep saying with everything, just a more movie accurate version of the satellite Soundwave. I think that would be cool. And again, that's a design that I feel would be absolutely perfect for doing as a non-transforming toy. And then after Soundwave is Sideswipe. I love Sideswipe's design, and thankfully a lot of transforming toys have been able to do justice to that design and that character. This all boils down to, again, I hate to sound kind of repetitive here, but just having a more movie accurate version, not having to worry about the backpack that most transforming Sideswipe toys seem to have to some degree. And I would think it'd be interesting to see how they tackled the wheel feet, because I remember for the premium scale Starscream, 3A did these little like clear stands for the feet, and I think it'd be cool to have something like that for Sideswipe. And that's just such a cool character design. Just to have a more accurate version of it in my hands would be awesome. And next up is Jolt, and don't get me wrong, I love the Studio Series figure, but man, something else needs to do a bit more justice to that design. Jolt is so freaking cool, and granted, I want an NPM of Jolt. That needs to happen at some point, but I think a ThreeZero DLX would be pretty cool as well, especially to get that movie accurate head design rendered in high detail. That'd be so freaking cool. Then after Jolt is Grimlock. I love the Age of Extinction Grimlock design. Now when I bring him up, I'm talking more so the robot mode. I would not mind ThreeZero to take on doing a T-Rex form Grimlock. I think that'd be pretty damn cool. And hell, I'd get him and the rest of the Dinobots if they did that. But the robot mode would just be so cool. Thankfully, that itch has kind of been scratched because the Studio Series figure, despite having some things for being a transforming mainline toy, it's already pretty accurate. And then you have the third-party G Creation figure. I'm sure some would say there's not too much of a need for it, but I would kind of like one that is from the ground up action figure of the robot mode with all of the detail, all of the paint. Because I mean, could you imagine a ThreeZero level paint job of Age of Extinction Grimlock? Because I mean, hell, the Studio Series paint job was already cool enough on the mainline toy. I can only imagine what ThreeZero would do for it. So yeah, I would definitely love to see Grimlock done in the DLX line. And then my number one want from the DLX line is the Fallen. I feel like he is perfect for this. The old Voyagers were cool, the new Studio Series figure is great. Hell, the oversized KO version, fantastic. I just feel like this design would work so well in DLX. They'd be able to capture all the details right. I feel like their paint job for the Fallen could look mind-blowing, especially with all of like the red, orange stuff you see throughout the body. I feel like they could rock the give me your face gimmick. He's just one where I would love to see it. That's such a cool design, and even though it's been captured well, again, just to have the more accuracy, the high quality paint job, I would love to see it for the Fallen. And you know, I really do hope that he happens at some point, especially being that he was a main villain of a movie. Whatever your views on him, he was still a main villain of the movie. And I mean, he seems like a fairly liked character, even if he was disappointing on the whole. Most people acknowledge that, but I think he would do very well as a DLX figure. But tell me, what figures would you like to see ThreeZero do in the DLX line? And what do you think of the ones that I brought up here? Let me know down in the comments. Before we go, I want to thank my patrons on Patreon. In my average bird tier, there is Schmoptimus Prime and Doomwave. And in my Bird of Prey tier, there is Austin Gillis. I can't say enough how much I appreciate the channel support, guys. Thank you. And as always, I want to give a big thanks to everyone for watching, and have a good one.